What's up, Captains? Welcome back to The Other Decks. My name is Casual Adobo, and today I am joined by CraigIs, or as the new nickname will soon be, King Craig. Craig, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, sir. How have you been doing?
I'm good. So, we just participated in the Super Rookie Tournament that was hosted by Orange Swim and the onepiece-cardgame.dev website. And you actually took second place with a pretty surprising leader. I was wondering if you could talk to me about sort of your decision to go into the tournament with this deck.
Yeah, well, shout out to One Piece Card Game Dev for hosting the tournament. It was fun. Honestly, I signed up like the night of, that was the cutoff, and I was like, okay, I want to play purple because I like purple. And yeah, I could have played Kaido, but at the same time, I was like, King has 5 life, Kaido has 5 life, but I was trying to make use of the 8-drop promo Kaido that they said we could play with for the promos, and I figured that might be better with King to be able to get to Dawn 10 quicker. So, and then just try and play a more control matchup with killing off their characters and then whittling their hand down to, finish the game.
That's awesome. Obviously, King is kind of an underutilized and probably underrated leader card. If you look at some people's tier lists, it's kind of at the bottom. And so, I guess, since you've played it and since you've had a lot of success, I think, what do you believe are its greatest strengths and greatest weaknesses?
It's the biggest weakness definitely is it taking up to trying to get to 10 Dawn for it to turn on. And if you're having to play your cards to where you're minusing the Dawn early in some matchups like I had to do, then yeah, you're just getting to it slower, and if you don't get Onigashima, it's definitely a big hindrance. But I think once you hit that 10 Dawn, just being able to minus all the opponent's characters by 1,000 to be able to clear boards easier is really impactful. And then I was running the full package of 4 jacks with 4 X-Drakes to try and discard their hand down as much as possible. So it definitely is helpful at that point. But yeah, it really is just like I didn't even see any tier lists before, so I didn't think King was that bad. But yeah, I just wanted to play a leader with 5 life at least.
Oh, for sure. That's awesome. Yeah, so we've talked kind of around the deck. Let's actually just jump right into it and talk about the deck profile itself.
So playing King as the leader. Sad that on the One Piece Dev website they didn't have the alternate art. I would have played with that one, but gotta work with what you got.
Yeah. All right.
So starting the deck off, I decided to run the package of Kurozumi Semimaru, and Kurozumi Higurashi. So basically, this Higurashi is the 2-cost 3K blocker. So nothing different than like Black Maria or any of the other blockers that are 1 or 2 costs with 1 to 3K power. The real good thing about it was that with this Semimaru, when you have both of them on the field, Semimaru says that any of your other Kurozumi family characters other than himself, they can't be KO'd in battle. So if you're my opponent, which there was one opponent where they were just they were oblivious to the fact that I had him out and wasn't even doing anything. So I was just sitting there with a blocker who's unkillable because they couldn't kill Semimaru. So that's why I figured run in. I initially had it up to 4 and 4, but then as I was trying to cut corners with some of the cards to put in, I just decided probably don't need the Semimaru as much, so I put it to 3 and then kept Higurashi at 4.
Very awesome.
Yeah. Moving on to Who's Who. I think 2 is probably the main way to go, like as far as ratios go. He doesn't come off often, but when he comes up, especially in those matchups between red-green and like just the ones that like to play a lot of low-cost stuff, like he comes up often. And then there's the last game, I think in the finals, in the first game 1, where I took this out of the trigger zone when it took life, and it killed his Zoros, or actually it was in the Luffy game that I had where it killed off his Zoro, so he couldn't restand it. So I think that helped me win that game in the semifinals. And then next for Sasaki, I only ran 2 because he mainly was just in here for a 2K counter. I think I wanted to try and run at least 10 2K counters, so he's there, and then being able to at least, if I wanted to attack with him, trash a card, maybe if I had like another dead card in hand and I knew it wasn't good for the matchup, it's just another way to ramp. Jack right here, not big old puffy chest Jack. I decided to play the better looking one.
For sure.
But yeah, like in this sense, like this guy is I think way better than the starter deck Jack, only because he takes a card out of your hand instead of ramping you and you losing a card. So you still lose a Dawn, and what I've noticed is that when it gets to like the late game where I have King online and I'm just like swinging with Jack and having to minus a Dawn is so like it doesn't work well. So definitely I like the card a lot. I like the fact that purple has at least 2 good discard outlets, and so if I ever make a different purple deck, I'm always going to be playing like 4 of these things. Definitely.
For sure.
Kamazo, I decided to put 2 in here, mainly because he's one of those characters that people don't want to kill. So if I can just put like a 4 cost 5k that can swing without having to power up to get some easy life, and that's why I kind of put him in there for. And then if he ever does die, then he KOs the opponent's 5 cost or less.
For sure, very solid ability.
Yeah, so talking about page 1, gotta talk about ulti 2. I decided to play 3 and 4, so definitely ulti, shoot 2k counter, and then if you want to be aggressive when having a page 1 in hand, then you just -1 Dawn to put the page 1 into play for free. So you're getting 10,000 power worth of stat for just 4 event, or 4 cost. I cut the page 1 down to 3, only because, again, trying to find space in the deck to fit some of the other stuff in, and most of the time it's like I'll have one of them, but I usually don't have both of them. It was the same thing with like the Kurozumi Semimaru and the Higurashi. Like usually I'd have one, but not the other. So
gotcha.
And then this is the other discard outlet, X-Drake. Sad that it's not like the green counterpart where it's 6k power but for 5, but he's got a strong effect of just minusing a Dawn to card out of the opponent's hand, so I can see why he's a 5k. But yeah, just running 4 of him for the simple fact that he discards cards along with Jack. So
yeah, discarding, I mean, forcing your opponent to have a card disadvantage in hand seems incredibly powerful, especially late game in the One Piece card game.
Yeah, like if the game goes to late game and you're sitting there with maybe a couple characters on board to swing and they have little cards in their hand, you can give them that life and then you're just taking it away again with Jack and X-Drake. So
for sure.
So getting to 5 costs here, I only ran Queen at 2. When I was building the deck, I would always usually in some of the other builds I would run 4 Queen, because it's like, why not? It's play 5 or play for 5 cost, draw 2, discard 1. Like that's a good effect.
Yeah.
But then I was kind of looking at the way the starter deck Kaido was set up and the ratios, and I was like, let me try and mirror this, because there's a reason why it's built like this probably. And so it's like when I looked at the cost curve. We were putting this at 2 and how I did everything else, I felt like it kind of flowed well. There wasn't really a lot of turns where I was kind of stifled, maybe in like 1 or 2 games.
Okay, for sure. That's definitely an interesting call, because I've seen a lot of people, call for maybe like 3 or 4 of queens just because it's a big beefy blocker. But yeah, I think 2 of, definitely fits in with this deck, and you actually do have a lot of 2 ofs as opposed to 3 ofs in here. Which, it seems like it's a very good amount of variety.
Yeah. And then I decided to play the new King, but only just 1 of, simply because like I like playing the 6 cost King from the starter, but hitting 1 card in regards to this one where I can kill potentially 2 cards, and if I'm expecting to play against a lot of red green or just anything that playing a lot of those low cost cards, definitely this King is way better than the other one in every aspect. So
yeah, for sure.
Just trying to get to the cost there, and then again, this is the whole reason why I wanted to play the King as the leader, is to play this promo Kaido, to try and get the Dawn to Tannis fast and be able to keep that steadily for the turns. But I rarely ever used him. I think there's only like 1 game where I maybe played him, but yeah, he probably could just be taken out of this list. He's not even needed. So
yeah, I was about to say, like at 2 of, I was curious how often you saw it in your matchups and how influential I guess it was in the wins.
Well, I can tell you it was so influential that every time I saw it, I pitched it if I could discard something. So that's how good it was. It was discard fodder every time.
For sure.
Then I only ran one of the 9-drop Kaidos. Like I said, if I do it differently, I probably would just take out the 2 of the 8 cost and put in another 9, and then I put in another of the 10 cost. They both serve their purposes. 9 cost Kaido, he's got rush, so when you play him, cost 9, -5 Dawn, KO one of their 6 cost or less characters, and then you got a 10k attacker that can attack right away. Good for finishing the game, late game. And then big Kaido here. I added him in at the last minute because I was like, oh yeah, I need something to clear out the big boards if I can't actually keep up with the aggro,
right.
especially like in red and green. And so I put him in at the last minute. That's where a lot of these ratios and stuff in my deck are kind of wonky in some senses, but yeah, definitely I would probably play 2. And then I only ever saw him, I think in the semifinal match, or it was the second to last match where I blew up the board. And so I think I was down to like 1 life, and I held on, and he helped me win the game because I was able to just keep pounding for 12 each turn, and then I top decked into Queen for my blocker to keep me alive. So
Nice.
helpful. Elephant Marchu, and then we get into the events. Elephant's Marchu. It was there mainly again as another way to kill a low cost one, mainly because like I thought that playing more than 2 Brachio bombers was going to be bad, because in a lot of my lists I would have like 4, because I'm like thinking like, oh, it's like jet pistol, let me go ahead and put 4 of these in, but that it being 6 costs is way too high. So again,
it's very expensive.
Yeah, I just stuck with the ratio that the starter deck had. It only had it at 2, so I was like, okay, we're just gonna put that in at 2. I'll put in 1 Elephant Marchu to kill a 2 cost or less, and then does the same thing like that, add a Dawn, so running that. Ultimortar, I was actually surprised how well I actually enjoyed it. It definitely, it doesn't help, like it helps, but it's definitely hindrance early game if I don't have Onigashima.
Right.
Because I'm just setting myself back a whole turn, and so I know in the last couple of games I played, that definitely hindered me, so it wasn't fun. But yeah, still like the card. I think 3 is a good number. Thunder Bagra, again, 4K counters for events. They're really good because it makes your opponent have to like play around it, especially if they see that you have the open down up. So I like playing it for the 4 cost. I wish it wasn't a 2 cost, but I get it. It's definitely better than Punk Gibson, I think, in some aspects.
Yeah.
But and then I've seen actually, as far as like trigger effects go, actually. So in one aspect, the Elephant Marchu did come up as a trigger for my life, so that killed off something, which was nice. Multiple times I saw the Ultimortar trigger go off to where it just adds it on, so it kind of ramps me up. The same with Thunder Bagra. There's times where I hit it out of my life, and I'm like, yeah, I'll use this, and start ramping up more. So they both serve their purpose.
For
and
sure.
then 2 Brachio bombers. It's really good, especially like late game when they have maybe 1 or 2 blockers, or if they have 1 blocker already used. Just pay 6, kill off their other blocker, then swing big on their leader. Blast Breath, this is one of those ones I had initially at 4, but then I was like, well, if I'm gonna play 3 Ultimortars, I can cut something else in the deck. Yeah, so having 3 wasn't ever too bad. For a cheap 1 cost 4K Dawn, just a minus a Dawn for 4K power, I didn't mind it at all. And then having Onigashima in there, like I said, this is one of those ones where I initially had it at 4, but wanted to change up the ratio, so I thought 3 was good, and it was always discard fodder if I ever needed it to be. But
For sure.
key card of the deck, like if you're trying to ramp up, definitely need to see this early. If you can mulligan for it, it's the best. But otherwise, if I did, I think in most of my games, and at least about half of them, I didn't ever see it until late game, so it didn't really play an impact in it.
Gotcha. Awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, I think this is a very fascinating deck list. I do like the whole like opponent like trashing their hand mechanic of it, but ultimately, I mean, it's I don't know if this is really like a purple toolboxy sort of thing, but it kind of feels like a purple toolbox, especially with the different variety of cards that you have in here. I guess as an opponent, I would imagine that it'd be kind of hard to like predict what your deck is going to do.
Yeah, and I think just with more cards being introduced in the game at a later point, we'll have to actually see if tournaments at all will be best of 3 with sideboards. I hope so, because definitely I think sideboarding in this game will be really fun to do. If I had to say anything I have here was staple, definitely like if you know, the Kurozumi package is, you know, at least 7 or 8 cards. Jack and X-Drake are always going to be together if you're trying to go with that strategy, so that's another staple set. And then yeah, like maybe even like the big cost Kaidos, but probably when we get more different purple leaders, like, you know, you can't run the big one, as much, but the 9 cost was always still able to be used anytime, so.
For sure. And so to sort of finish this off, I do want to ask about the matchups you face. So for context for anyone who's watching this video, this tournament was a single elimination bracket style tournament. It started off as a best of 3 and then went to some best of 1 rounds, and then I believe I heard that the finals ended up being like a best of 3. Wanted to see if one, you could provide some context to how the structure of the tournament ultimately went down, and then also talk about the matchups and some of the things that you saw this deck succeed very well in, and some areas where it might have struggled a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, initially when the tournament started, it was best of 3. Round 1, I played against blue-purple Crocodile. Honestly, the guy had a kind of a rough start. In the first 2 turns, he played Baroque Works and whiffed. Or I would say in the first 3 turns, he did 2 instances of Baroque Works and he whiffed on 2 of them. And then 1 turn where he actually played an event and had 4 less cards in his hand, he didn't add a Don to his leader to draw an extra card. So,
gotcha.
You know, like it was unfortunate, but it set him back enough to where I won game 1, and then game 2 I kind of just, you know, he played a little bit better, but just, you know, I still won in the end. And then so I won 2-0 in that match, and then it was round 1 where everybody was taking so long in a lot of their games that they decided best of 1 for the rest of the tournament until finals. So going into round 2, I was playing against Odin, the Green Leader Odin, and that one I've played against it a couple times. I played it myself, just testing, but that one I know like it can get pretty rough. But I think I was able to just control his board enough to where I kept my life high, so that in the end game I was able to swing with my characters when he had like maybe I think 2 life left, and I had like at least 3 to 4 swings before my leader. So won out in the end. Definitely don't know how a best of 3 would have gone with that matchup, but yeah, took game 1. That was all I needed to do.
For sure.
Round 3, it was against McCoulihan. I believe he was playing Luffy. It was King. Yeah, or not King. It was Kaido. So this one was round 3 was purple mirror match in a sense. But he was playing Kaido. I was playing King. That one was fun because like it was a back and forth match for the most part. He was able to use leader effect 1, so it took one of my life down just for free. But once he did that, I think that's when I got to 10 Don, and I swung with my leader. I didn't worry about his characters, and I played the 10 cost Kaido to wipe the board, because at that point it's like he just minus his Don, so he's already back to little Don at that point. So I was able to like just have my Kaido there beating down on him for the last couple of turns. And it was I top decked into a queen blocker for my draw, because if I hadn't have done that, then I definitely would have lost that game. So the queen blocker played it, able to draw me 2 cards to, I think, pitch away one of the cards I couldn't use that didn't have counter, and I was able to just win out the game after just hanging on in there. So
for sure.
The semi-final match was against Yol. He was playing the red-green Luffy, and that one was actually pretty fun. That's the game where the trigger from the Husu came out, because he had swung with his Zoro for like 8k. Yeah, so he hit my life, and then he left 4 open to swing with again, but I got Husu out of the trigger, so it killed his Zoro. So it's just like, oh,
plans are destroyed now.
Yeah, it was pretty lucky on my part. So that one was a grind too. I just, you know, I whittled away his board state. And in that sense, you know, if he doesn't have any characters to restand with his Luffy or be able to swing, then it's just swinging with leader. So that was a good game plan. So won that one. scraped by. I think I went down to 0 life in that one, so close game definitely. And then the finals, it was best of 3 again against Zenith. He was playing Red Zoro, so the counter opposite to my leader in a sense. The manga matchup. Spoilers, but but his definitely was like early aggression, having the Rush Zoros, bumping up all of his characters plus 1,000. And yeah, like that definitely, like game 1, I think in both games, honestly, I was too focused on my normal strategy of trying just to kill his characters, so he didn't have a lot of strings. But I think he might have been running probably max copies of Rush Zoro, Rush Sanji, so like he just was able to keep consistent aggression with multiple attacks, and I was having to use my ulti mortars and stuff to guard a lot, so I kept minusing all my Dawn to where I wouldn't be able to proceed in the game and stuff. So I was told I could have won game 2 based on the way the board was set up. It could have gone to game 3, but like I said, it was my own fault. I definitely learned from my experience, so hopefully next time I could just, play a little bit better.
For sure. No, it is interesting about the Rush Zoro deck, right? Because I mean, this one definitely. I mean, you need at least 5 turns in order to get King active, whereas Zoro is definitely like smacking into face as fast as possible type of deck. And so it's interesting to see sort of the polar opposites of the One Piece card game kind of clash in the final.
Oh yeah, no. In that aspect, like that final match was basically just a normal game of Control versus Rush. You think about any other card game. And like in that aspect, yeah, they're definitely a lot more favored in that matchup. So I think with sideboards and stuff, there'll be a different story, but we'll see. But it was fun. I enjoyed the tournament. Like I said, again, thank you to One Piece Card Game Dev for hosting it, and I can't wait to play more.
For sure. And thank you for hopping onto the call and joining me and taking the time to explain your deck list and kind of the tournament as a whole. Really appreciate it. Were there any other shout outs that you wanted to give before we hop off?
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to everybody who participated. Like, it's glad to see this community participating in this stuff, and I definitely want this community to grow. I'm trying to get more of my friends to play because this game was fun. Like, I really do enjoy it, and so I just want to be able to play with everybody and have fun and do well.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm excited for the future of this game. Like, yeah, I mean, I know that we're like playing it early, like in the Japanese meta and stuff, but you get a sense of what it can be, and so I'm excited for this to release in the US and really take off globally.
Yeah.
But awesome. Thank you so much, and thank you all for watching at home. Really appreciate it. And captains, remember, build what you like, play what you love, and I'll catch you in the next video. Have a good one.